Hey y'all, I'm JamesWright and welcome back to Wizards News. Today I want to talk about XP and what is the fastest way to grind it out. Now they recently nerfed the XP that comes from Fortress challenges, and that really was, well, it was kind of a big upset because it was really easy to get XP just sitting on the bottom rung and hammering away at it. So I'm going to try out 5 different methods today and we're going to see what is the best method to grind now that they've changed the formula. So let's dive in and take a look at this.
I've done 2 other videos in the past talking about how to grind or how to build XP quickly. And everything was going great. There was a great amount of data. It was a lot of work. And then suddenly they went and nerfed everything in the fortresses. And now we have a completely different dynamic. So I need to redo all the tests and come up with a new schema. So how exactly should you grind and level up now that they have nerfed the fortresses? So if you want to see those videos, I'll leave a link to them down below. And just as a quick side note, what they basically did with the fortresses is that they kind of had a flat and level, and so that you spent less time on the lower end fortresses, and that made it much easier. You could just grind through them very quickly and get a lot of XP. What they did now is they took a ton of XP away from the lower level and they gave a ton to the higher level. So basically they should end up taking about the same amount of time to get the same amount of XP as you climb up the ladder. So theoretically playing higher levels will give you just as much XP as playing the lower levels. I want to see if that actually works out in reality. Also, as a heads up, this video will be a little bit longer than others in the past because there is a lot of data in here and there's a lot to go into, and so there are some very surprising items that came up in this, and I want to talk about them and show how those might affect things in the future or might affect how you want to do things now. So what I ended up doing was doing 5 different tests. For an entire hour I ground each of them. Number 1, we just walked around and did foundables. I found a place that had a lot of spawns and I could just hit foundables, and we're just doing the regular low-level foundables that come up in the occasional flare. Number 2, I found a place with a lot of foundable spawns as well as several inns, and so on those 3 inns I could put dark detectors. So I had 3 dark detectors on each of the inns and we let those run for an entire hour. This will bring along more higher level foundables and might increase the capabilities, so I wanted to test that. And then we went back to fortresses and I did an entire hour on ruins level 1, I did an entire hour on ruins level 4, and then I did an entire level on tower level 3, which is basically the highest that I can go and just regularly pound them out without using too many items. And then on top of all this, we went through and we detailed what did we expend, in other words, potions and energy, runestones, things like that. And then did we earn any scrolls? Did we earn any books? What were the things that we got as well? So some people may be focusing on getting scrolls or getting books or getting runestones. What is the best way to do that as well? I was toying with the idea of waiting on this until after the Brilliant event had finished, because that will skew the results a little bit, having Brilliant foundables to claim as well. But after looking at it, it looks like we're going to have a Brilliant event a little bit less than 50% of the time. So you will regularly be out hunting when there is a Brilliant event. So I decided to leave it like that, and I might do it in the future just to see if there is a difference between Brilliant event and not Brilliant event. But for right now, we'll just do it with the Brilliant event flares in there. I found a place that had quite a bit in a parking lot, which is normally where you're going to find them. And this one actually was pretty well stocked and kept me busy the entire time. I ended up using 158 energy in the 1 hour, which is pretty steep. It was a little more than I expected because there were a lot of low-level foundables that we're just pounding through, but wasn't that bad in the end. Then we also used 2 brain elixirs. I used 2 stimulo potions for something I saw. I was like, ooh, yes, I want that. And then I also used 2 dwaddle drots for those things that said, yes, I want those. And I made sure they didn't run away. So I did use a few items, but I didn't use that much on there. In comparison to some of the other methods that we're going to be talking about, this one was pretty light. Total cost on everything, if I were just to purchase all of it, energy and potions, would be 646 coins. But if I subtract the energy from that and just go with the items used and not the energy, then it would be 330 galleons. For all that, we got just over 13,000 XP, which was not anywhere near what I was expecting. In the past, I've been able to do this and get up to 15 or 17,000. So I was really surprised at how low this was. Yeah, I was a little sad with that, and I might have to redo this one again and see if there was a problem with that particular area. But I was hitting foundables almost constantly through that entire hour, so it was a pretty solid sample size. What I'm thinking is now that I've done the game more, I've found more of them, and so it was very rare that I came across something I didn't have, and so therefore the XP from them is not quite as much. As I prestige more pages in the future, then that XP may be more. We'll see. I also got 8 scrolls and 3 runestones runestones as I did rank up in several of the family XP. And I am including ranking up, so anything that I earned during the time, so ranking up on a particular field or prestiging a page, I do include those in the sample size because they were accrued at that time. So now let's move on to the dark detectors. And this was a fun one because these are really enjoyable to put out all these and start to see all the flares that come out. In comparison on just doing the foundables, in that time I only got 6 flares, not counting the brilliant events. With the dark detectors on, I was able to get 15 flares in the 1 hour period. So a lot more coming out of that, and it made me very happy, though doing those takes more time because they're harder to catch. You end up using more spell energy, and so they might be more valuable, but you may end up spending more on them. So the big cost in this one was the 18 dark detectors. 3 dark detectors on 3 ends for an entire hour. 18. Oh man, that was expensive, and it cost a lot of galleons to get those. I ended up spending a little bit more energy, 166 energy, which I was expecting to spend more. It was only slightly more than just doing the regular foundables, so that was actually pretty nice. Also, because I was doing more higher level items, I had 5 Stimulos and 3 Dwaddle Drots, so a little bit more items that I was like, yes, I need to get that, so I used some potions on that, as well as the 2 Barufio's Brain Elixirs. So a little bit more was used doing this. Because of the dark detectors, the price on this was crazy high, over 3,000 galleons. Yeah, that cost a lot. Even if you take the energy out, it's just over 2,700. And so this is an expensive way to do it. Yes, but is the XP worth it? In the end, we did get more XP than I did with just the straight foundables, being a little over 15,000. And that was good. I was still expecting more. In the past, when I've done this, I've gotten 17,000 to 18,000. So part of that's just due to I have caught more, and I'm not seeing any that I haven't seen before, so my XP totals aren't quite as high as they used to be. Surprisingly, I got pretty close to the same amount of scrolls and runestones, 10 and 3, so this was a relatively good run all around, just a very expensive one. And now let's get into the fortresses and start to feel some of that disappointment. Because it used to be when I would do runes level 1, I could get 30,000 in an hour just sitting there grinding it. And that was fantastic, worked really well, but what is it now? Because they've nerfed number 1 back way far, so you don't get as much from this. At the level I'm at now, it was most every one of them was one-hit knockout. So this was a pretty easy level, and they went through them really quickly. I was able to do 60 in the hour, so a little bit better than 1 a minute. I was very, very happy with that. If I were to push it a little bit more, I might be able to get a bit more out of that. But now that they're one-hit knockouts, these go really, really quickly. But that meant that we had to use 60 runestones, and that was a lot to purchase. And if you're going to be grinding this way, you're going to be spending a lot of galleons. Over the total, we spent 140 energy, so the least so far. And I didn't spend a single potion on it other than the 2 brain elixirs. Everything was just very quickly. 1-hit kill, and we're out. So out of all the methods, this one was really, really cheap because it was 680 coins needed total, which actually without energy was only 400 galleons. And that's including the price of the runestones. So this is not an expensive way to do things, and if you don't have a lot of resources, this is probably the cheapest way to do it. Now that being said, runestones, basically there's something that you have to purchase, whereas if you grind with foundables, there are things that you don't have to purchase. You can create those, as opposed to runestones are a lot harder to create. So on to the big question, what was the XP gotten from this? It was a little over 7,000. Ah, sickening. I was just absolutely blown away by how horrible that was. Yeah, this was not good at all. And so out of 60 battles, I only got a little over 7,000. That's a lot lower than the 30,000 I used to get. Yeah, so this really isn't a great way to do things now. I did receive 4 books, 8 scrolls, and we spent 60 runestones. So XP grinding, this is not the way to do it. So let's bump up the tree a little ways. Let's go up to runes level 4. And this is kind of the mid-grade level. Most of these I can hit with 1 or 2 knockouts. Occasionally I'm going to come up against something heavy that I'm not as well equipped for, and so I may end up spending some items on this. But it's still a pretty easy one, and I can go through them rather quickly. Not as quickly as runes level 1, but I can move through them pretty quickly. In the 1 hour, I was able to knock out 49 of them, so rather rapidly. It was a pretty good one. Not as fast as runes level 1, but I did run up against at least one elite foe, and there were a few that were a little more difficult. So because of that, I ended up using a little bit more energy at 180. Still not bad, but still more than I used on runes level 1. I also used 2 Stimulos and 1 healing potion, as I did occasionally run up against something that taxed me just a little bit more than I expected. And of course, the 2 Barufios Brain Elixirs. So this is a little bit more expensive way of being 141 galleons. And if you take out the energy, that's 481 galleons. Energy-wise, let's see how we did. At just over 6,000, we went down? Yes, we went down, because there really isn't a huge energy boost between runes level 1 and runes level 4. And because I did less of runes level 4, that means we get less XP out of this. Which, wow, that's sad. That is really, really sad. That's even including the upgrades from ranking up in families. Yeah, this is... Runes level 4 is not a good way of gaining XP. We did gain 2 books and 6 scrolls out of the whole thing, but we ended up spending 49 runestones. So XP, this is not the way to go. Let's try bumping it up. Let's go up a little bit and go to tower level 3. And this is pretty much the top of what I can regularly pound out. I can go higher than this. I've gone a lot higher than this. But anytime I'm doing those, I'm going to be spending a lot more time. On this, I'm able to grind them fairly quickly, though I'm going to be using a lot of things because I'm going to be coming up against many foes that I haven't hit regularly. I'm interested to see how this changes over time. Basically, I picked this level because it is the highest level that the game suggests that I do. And so that seems to be a pretty good modifier. This is where you would want to play at your highest level. Not the highest level you can do, but the highest level you can regularly pound through. Now, I was expecting it to be less. I was thinking I'd get somewhere around 30 of them done, but in the end, I only got 17, which really surprised me. I thought I pounded through a lot of them, but in 1 hour, I only got through 17 of them. And in that 17, I ended up using 291 energy. What? Yeah, because the foes took more, and I would be doing hit, 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 and then I'd knock them out, and I have to go to the next person, hit, 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 as opposed to just one hit each. They took more energy. I used 33 Stimulo potions. Yeah, I burnt through a lot of potions to get through an hour's worth of that. Of course, the 2 brain elixirs, and then 21 healing potions. So this was not a cheap way to do it. There was just a lot of things that had to go in this to make it happen. In the end, it was 2,900 galleons, so a little bit cheaper than using the dark detectors, but still, that's a pretty high price to pay. Even with taking the energy out, it only comes down to 2,400 galleons used to do this. So, whew, that's steep. But what was the XP? And the XP came out to 9,800 and something. Yeah, it's not a great way to grind XP. Not when you can go out and hit foundables and find a good area with them. Even just casual foundable hunting, you're going to get more than this in an hour. I got 2 books and 4 scrolls, but I spent 17 runestones, which isn't that much. But that being said, no, this is not the best way to get XP. So with all that data over there, yes, foundables are now the way to get XP. Stay away from fortresses if you're hunting XP. Now, if you are trying to fill out your registry, fortresses are a fantastic place to do it because you can pick your runestone to fit which registry you're trying to fill out, and so you can kind of focus on that particular color. But you're not going to get your XP there, so this isn't the place to grind anymore. Now, that being said, fortresses are a ton of fun to do with groups, and if you can get groups together, this is really, really enjoyable. But do it for the enjoyment, do it for the foundables, don't do it for the XP. So because of all this, we need to find locations that have high spawn rates, and that's usually not in a nest. So if you see that flag that's telling you something is there, get out of the nest. Some nests are good, but most of them are not. Usually I like to go to the shopping centers and the parking lots, places where there's a lot of people going there with geo coordinates. Those are where I usually hunt for foundables. And this is kind of a sad thing because I really like to spend more time in the parks, but the foundable rates in parks are nowhere near the foundable rates in parking lots. So yes, if you want to grind it out, get to parking lots. That's where you're going to get a lot of your foundables. I'm going to be doing a video here soon on how to find locations like this, how to find nests where the flags are waving, how to find inns and other things like that. So stay tuned for that if that's something you want. But my best suggestion is right now, go out to your shopping centers, find a parking lot, and grind your foundables there. Yeah, that's where we're at. And I'd like them to change this, but for right now, parking lots. I know this kind of information is really going to be rubbing some people the wrong way, and I know a lot of people out there are going to be like, wow, I can get far more from foundables. Well, yes, and that is really dependent on the area where you're hunting them. If you can find a place where they spawn rapidly and regularly and you can honey pick from them, then that is the place you want to go, and you're probably going to increase your XP. There was a spot that came up during the community day that was just absolutely crazy, and there was no way you could do them all because they were spawning faster than you could take them down. And that is a honey hole. And if you can find those, fantastic. But if you can't find those, then your XP rates are going to be a little lower. So this is a very flexible thing because it really depends on how many spawns you can get in an area at a time. But go ahead and throw the arguments down below and hate at me, that's okay. I hope you like this content. I'm probably doing some more like this and detailing in on a few other aspects. And if there's something particular you'd like me to test or try out, let me know down below. I'd love to read those and see what's going on there. If you did like the video, please like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell. That really helps out the channel, and thank you for that. So I think that's about it for today. And until next time, have a magical day. Milk chocolatey goodness. Let's see what's inside. Someone new, someone different. I haven't gotten a Ron, Harry, Hermione. Today we got Rowena Ravenclaw. Another one I've gotten, but if you'd like to get this, come see me at an event, and we'll be handing them out. Bye.